One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake it off with Mert and Lucas. Live starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
Okay, I give up. What's that called, Alex?
All right, this is Hammer and Sickle by Barron's AI Band. Hammer and Sickle.
Hammer and Sickle. How funny. Given what we're going to be talking about next, on January 1, 2026, Zoran Mamdani took the oath of office and declared that New York City would be governed through a democratic socialist lens. He recently made a personnel move that instantly defined the ideological stakes of his administration. Mert, I want to talk about his appointment of Sia Weaver. She's a long-time tenant organizer. She was the architect of the 2019 rent law overhaul here in New York, and she was one of the most polarizing figures, or is one of the most polarizing figures in New York housing politics. Okay, here's a quote from Sia. "You cannot hold landlords who violate the law to account unless you have a proven, principled, and tireless fighter at the helm. That is why I am proud today to announce my friend Sia Weaver." Okay, that was Mamdani, not Sia Weaver, who said that. It was a declaration of intent by the mayor, and in my opinion, it was gasoline. Because within hours, posts from Weaver's now deleted X account began to show up, and some were really explosive. Now here's one, Mert, from 2019. "Private property, including and kind of, especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy masquerading as wealth-building public policy." White supremacy? How crazy is that? The reaction was immediate, ferocious, and national. Conservatives seized on the quote. Real estate groups sounded alarm. Even former Mayor Eric Adams, who had spent years positioning himself as a defender of homeowners and small landlords, delivered this rebuke. Ready, Mert? He said, "Home ownership is how immigrants, black, brown, and working-class New Yorkers built stability and generational wealth despite every obstacle. You have to be completely out of your," he uses profanity there, "effing mind to call that white supremacy." Mert, the battle lines were drawn. Which side are you on, bud?
Well, I'm not taking anybody's side but my side, just to be clear. So I'm going to say this. When she's using white supremacy, she might not really believe that, but she is sounding the alarm for all the people out there who need something this simple so that they can have something to chew on and get behind what she's saying. Because there's a lot of people out there who can get behind going against white supremacy. So if you want to go and attack landlords and try to take their properties or whatever you want to do, bring down rents or make it easier for people to buy properties in the first place, throw out white supremacy. And you can get a lot of
white
support.
Supremacy. A lot of owners, the city.
Well, hold on. That's a different question. Ask me that question.
They're black.
Hold on a second.
Wait, but let me finish the thought.
Ask me that question. You ask me a different question.
They're black, they're brown, they're Asian.
If you're gonna,
they're all different nationalities. It's not white supremacy.
Ask me that question.
That's
you didn't
nonsense.
ask me that question. You didn't ask me that question.
Go.
You're badgering the witness now. You didn't ask me that question. You asked me a different question. You asked me.
Well, but you're saying it's okay. It's okay to use white supremacy.
I'm giving you.
It's not okay.
I'm breaking down why she did it. See, you got to be patient. You're very impatient. I'm starting to realize that you're very impatient. I'm firing you up. You think you're firing me up? I fire you up.
Well, you're stressing me out. That's why I have psychologists on all the time.
Absolutely.
I need some sort
that explains it. I was wondering why.
There you go, Alex.
I was breaking down the technique, and you're asking me a different question. So if you're asking me...
But the technique is not correct. It's not accurate. To say it's white
You don't
supremacy,
get to define that. You don't get to define that.
What,
because
excuse me?
She needs support. And people out there will support her if she blames it on white supremacy. That's undisputable.
So the house that you live in now is a result of white supremacy, Mert? I don't want to get specific.
If you
that
want
white
people,
supremacy?
If you want people to say, man, I can't buy a house, and it's because white supremacy, you will get a lot of people to support you.
But that's
now,
not
if you do what you want people,
That's
if you want people to do what you want them to do and just be factual, that ain't the world we live in. And you know that, I'm surprised at you for even trying to say something like that, because you know that's
nonsense.
not how things work.
That's why we're talking about it, because for Seal Weaver, who, by the way, in my view, is a big hypocrite, because you want to talk about supremacy. She went to a college that costs $88,000 a year. You want to talk about supremacy? Her mom allegedly owns an apartment that's worth $1.6 million. Her dad manages property, real estate, charges rent to people. You want to talk white supremacy? Why doesn't she look within? And she's lived a very entitled life. So what kind of hypocrisy is that, Bert? It's nonsense.
You'll drive you crazy doing all that research. Most people don't do that research because that takes too much effort to do all that research.
No, but
a lot of people.
That's because you don't want facts. See, you like talking with platitudes, but you don't want to support what you say. That's problematic, and that's
a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
That's why Seal Weaver, as far as I'm concerned, has little to no credibility. Okay, and that's why when media asks a question, Alex, do you see her? She's crying because she doesn't want to confront the truth.
Well, no, and I love that you're doing this, because I do believe all these appointments he's done need to be held accountable. Mert, there's been no accountability for any of the appointments he's been making over the last few months alone.
Well, you guys have to understand this. This whole everything needs to be factual, and no. Most people go off emotion. Because being factual means being a nerd. It means reading books all day. It means doing your homework all the time. It means getting straight A's. That's what being factual is. So, Lucas, you're very studious.
Well,
you're
thank
very
you.
educated.
You're calling me a nerd. I accept that as a badge of honor. But let's stick to the facts, okay?
No. We can't stick to the facts. You're going to stick to the facts. I'm going to break it down in the way that the people would disseminate this information and receive it.
With a woman that comes from entitlement, that comes from money, $1.6 million, father manages property, she went to a college, $88,000 in tuition, that's okay, and she can talk about white supremacy? Really?
Yeah, because if you want to play those games, I would say
the judges,
you know what, you can always do this. What was the factual reason behind slavery? And you would say, oh, well, it was justified because it helped this country. And people would say, I'm not going with that. Slavery is evil. Slavery is wrong. It shouldn't be allowed.
Slavery is
white
evil.
supremacy.
Mert, that's a different topic.
But people will always try to use...
Do you know that? But slavery was also profited by those that they were used as a profit incentive by those that live in Africa.
Absolutely. And if we try to use
tribal
those facts,
leaders were selling their people. Okay.
If we try to use those facts to justify it, then it will look stupid.
Let's talk about Seal Weaver. She said, ready?
You got to stop. Well, hold on a second before you keep going, because you got to stop doing this, because I'm trying to explain to you, you're thinking in a bubble. You're in a bubble, and you need to come outside. You need to get outside of your
Alex,
bubble.
I'm in a bubble.
Well, it sounds like she wants to take over private property. That's the main concern.
No, it doesn't sound. That's what she's saying.
No one
That's what
cares.
She's saying.
No one cares about your facts. For one,
no
one cares about your fact. Nobody cares about
God.
her background, because they feel like she's speaking to their issues. They feel like there's white people out there who, because they might be black, Hispanic, whatever their ethnicity, or maybe they're homosexual, whatever it is, that they're holding them back. And it doesn't have to be true.
Yeah, but she's one of those white people. She's one of those white people. It's the funny part of this whole thing.
Which gives it more
Maybe
validity.
She should give away all her wealth and make her family give up all their properties and live in poverty. And then, okay, you could talk about... That's nonsense, Mert. You don't see through this nonsense.
So look, if you have a white person sitting there saying...
Who comes
white
from
supremacy,
money. Who comes from money and entitlement.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
more that. See,
Yeah.
it might not be factually true, but it's more factual.
Nonsense.
She
It's
comes from
nonsense.
everything we're against, and she's calling out.
That's
what
called
there's
hypocrisy.
She's
That's called
calling
hypocrisy.
out what's going on. That's what the people are looking at. This white woman is finally admitting
That's why
what
she's
we've known
crying.
all along.
She's crying because
And she's
ashamed.
crying.
She's
She's crying,
ashamed,
too.
and she
So
should be.
So how can you tell me those tears aren't factual? Those are
They're
some real
crocodile.
tears.
They're crocodile. Because it's one thing to talk the talk. It's another thing to walk the walk. And you know what? Sia Weaver shouldn't be talking, is my point. Alex, don't you think it's a little bit hypocritical that a woman that went to a college that's $88,000, whatever it is, a year, and she's talking about white supremacy?
Well, it just shows you maybe how these people are being indoctrinated in college to begin with. So.
Correct. And by the way, listen to this, Mert. I want you to comment to this. Ready? She said, this is something resurfaced. They're not sure when she originally said it, but it just resurfaced. For centuries, we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good. And we're going to transition. See, this is what she's talking about. We're going to transition into treating it as a collective good and toward the model of shared equity. Shared equity. Now, this is the crazy part of her statement. Ready? She added that the shift would require, here we go, quote, white families especially, end quote, to have, quote, a different relationship to property than the one we currently have, end quote. So Whitey has to suffer? What is she saying? This is nonsense, Mert.
If it's a white individual saying all this stuff, it gives it validity.
No,
and you
it
have to
does
understand,
not.
and you
No,
have
it
to
does
understand this because you like to, stick to the facts and you like to be very textbook and very studious. I'll give you credit for that. But you got to understand that this country, for only about 100 years, this whole little property model that you're talking about where people have been creating wealth through property and it's given a lot of people opportunities.
That's right.
That only worked for about 100 years in history. Throughout all the rest of history, people have been dirt poor and never had access to property. And it might be that we're making a return to those types of times because it is getting increasingly harder for people to actually buy a property.
That's not because of white supremacy or discrimination. It's because of affordability. I agree. We'll spend a show talking about affordability.
And who has all the
Things
wealth?
are bad. But
See,
you know
this is
what?
the thing.
There are programs.
Real quick,
programs that help people that are disadvantaged.
Let me say this real quick.
They're talking about loans. They're talking about doing deals which will allow people with less money to buy property. They're looking at different configurations.
Well,
But
real quick,
but
before you keep going,
that this
before
is
you
a
keep
product
going,
of white supremacy. It's total nonsense.
before you keep going, I have facts on my side that says
What's that?
all the wealth is with powerful white men. All the billionaires are white men. So if you want to use facts, I'm going to use a very simple one. Most of the billionaires and most of the executives are white men. So when we speak on that, when we talk about an affordability crisis, who are the ones dictating what your paycheck will be? It will usually be a powerful white man. Now, if it's true or not, doesn't matter. Because it's all about what you can sell. It's all about marketing.
So it doesn't have to do with private property ownership then. It has to do with the structure of wages and the unfairness.
White supremacy holding everybody back. That's what she's saying.
My goodness.
And you got to understand that. You're not trying to understand her. You're trying to talk about what's right and wrong. It doesn't matter what's right and wrong. It's what people feel.
She is trying to shift away from the American dream. And the American dream has always been about home ownership, owning the four walls in which you live. And there is nothing wrong with that. Sacrifice, building equity in property. And there are some people, black, brown, Asian, other than white people, who have made many millions thanks to real estate and property investment. And you want to deny that? So then what is the incentive for growth? If the government's going to control how much you make and what property, or if you can even own property at all, this is not acceptable model. This socialist communist model doesn't work. It hasn't worked in Cuba, hasn't worked in Venezuela, it hasn't worked anywhere in the world, and it's not going to work here. Come on.
Can I chime in on that? I mean, I'm very fired up by this.
Go. Go, Alex.
Firstly, I made a note on my podcast. I'm waiting for the hammer and sickle to be fly to Top City Hall at this point. I mean, it's funny you say that because that's what I'm feeling right now. We're going to see that at Top City Hall at some point.
Well, it's scary. I've certainly it's scary. And for her to say things like she did in June of 2018, ready, Mert? Seize private property. Who the heck is she? Seize private property. 2017, she said, elect more communists. This is America. You know, people should go to jail or leave this country if you don't like America. Leave. If you want communists, go to Russia, see ya. Go live with Putin and see how great you'll do there. They'll probably kill you if you say something that is in disagreement with Putin, because that seems to be what happens every week. They find a general dead or a person jumping out a window, and they're calling it accidents. That's communism. Look at Cuba. Hasn't done anything, in 50 years? They're still driving around in old 50 Chevys? Come on. That's not progress. That's not a way to live, and that's not America. And you know, she's made stupid comments in the past, and my point, she didn't qualify for, well, I guess she did because he's a socialist, but she doesn't qualify to be at the helm of this great city when she has this bias, because this is a bias. She's anti-property owner, she's anti-landlord, and there are a lot of bad landlords. I represent a lot of tenants. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of bad landlords out there. But to change and shift the system, to deny the American dream, no, that we should fight and that we should resist. And Alex, you want to talk about hammer and sickle? Let's stand for what's American, and property ownership is one of them.
Well, especially because I think they want to try and take over buildings and just gentrify areas. I've used that term before, but gentrification is a real thing.
They don't want it. They hate gentrification. They just want to make it more communal. They want to take away the right to own. They don't want it to be a commodity. They just want it to be. And look how great the city housing is. The buildings that the city owns, the building that the city runs, they need millions and millions of dollars, Mert, to keep those properties up to date. There's no money to be able to keep the buildings up to date. Can you imagine they're going to add more properties to the city's portfolio? Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Look at city housing. And tell me that model works, Mert. You still
why are you acting like you didn't just talk for 5 minutes straight? Don't try to.
Well, I thought maybe I killed you. I thought maybe you had a heart attack or something.
Hold on a second, because you just stopped and you're like, Mert. Like, give me the time to understand that you're done talking. You just went on a little rant right there. Don't be rushing me to speak after you just go on a 10-minute rant.
All right, I'll ask you. Do you think she should go to Russia where she belongs? Or Cuba?
Let me respond to everything you just said, because you just talked for 10 minutes. Let me just respond to it.
You got a minute. Hurry up.
A lot of what you said was very emotional. Wasn't a lot of fact in that little argument you just went with. She should be arrested. She should leave the country.
It's
all
un-American.
That stuff.
It's un-American.
All of that is not fact-based, and you're just proving my point. That's why I let you go on that
rant.
Well,
if you don't love America,
because I wanted you. Hold on a second. I wanted you to hang yourself with your own rope, and you just did that because you proved my point. All that was very emotional. It wasn't strictly facts. You infused a lot of your personal, heartfelt beliefs in what everything you just said, and she's doing the same thing by invoking white supremacy. So I just used you.
Which is nonsense.
I just used you, and you didn't realize it.
You didn't use
to
me
strengthen
at all.
my argument. I used you to strengthen my argument, and I appreciate you for going on that rant because it strengthened what I'm saying, because it was very emotional and not very factual. Talking about people should be arrested. People should be arrested for using freedom of speech.
If you hate America, go, leave. Now, how's this, Mert? Mert and I, we love you. And let's reflect on this. This is episode 80 of Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. This is Lucas Ferrara. With me in the studio is Mert Roberts and Alex Garrett. He's got a 5-star rated podcast. Check it out. When we come back, we'll be joined by Mike Radoor. So meet Mert, Alex, Scatty, all of us at AM 970 The Answer will return after these quick messages. Stick around. After the break, Mike is going to teach us why promises we don't keep are the most expensive ones we make and how to finally stop doing it. Brace yourself. Your inner slacker is about to get evicted.
Coming up this Tuesday is AM 970 The Answer's Employment Open House event at our Manhattan office and studio location right next to Trinity Church. This open house event is designed to introduce you to the type of employment opportunities that exist in broadcasting and meet some of the managers at the station. Tuesday's open house is free to attend, but you must call the AM 970 business office to register to be added to the guest list. Call Peter in the business office at 212-857-9631 to sign up. We'll see you this Tuesday.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher. I want to personally invite you to join me along with the great Scott Jennings for a powerful week on the Gulf of America cruise, November 14th through the 21st, 2026. We'll cruise through crystal blue waters, visit incredible ports like Half Moon Cay and Cozumel, and enjoy the first-class hospitality of a luxurious cruise ship. All week long, you'll have time to meet with us. The meet and greets, the photo ops, the Q&A sessions, and the chance to hear behind-the-scenes stories you'll never hear on air. You'll also be immersed in inspiring keynotes and in-depth sessions as we enjoy real connection designed to strengthen your resolve as we mark the 250th anniversary of our great nation. Don't miss this. Sign up today. We look forward to cruising the Caribbean with like-minded patriots who care deeply about our country. Reserve your stateroom now. Text the keyword cruise to 94878. Just text the word cruise to 94878 or visit MikeOnline.com. That's MikeOnline.com. Click on the Gulf of America cruise banner and we'll see you there. Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, hoping you'll join me on the unforgettable Gulf of America cruise happening in November of 2026. Imagine this: turquoise waters, white sand beaches, incredible food, insightful conversations about the future of America. Scott Jennings and I will be your hosts. We'll dive into the issues shaping America as we cruise through some of the most stunning destinations while honoring the 250th anniversary of our nation. Book your cabin today. Text the word cruise to 94878. Text cruise to 94878 or visit MikeOnline.com.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Hey, what's that one called, Alex?
This is called Promises by Contra.
Promises. Great choice, Alex, particularly given who's coming up next. Joining us live from Spain, Mert. We have a guest from Spain, where it's 1:30 in the morning. Mike Radoor. He is a $300 million founder who lost everything to addiction and ego and then rebuilt his life the hard way through uncompromising character work, not shortcuts. Today he leads the Wolfpack Brotherhood and created the Man Up framework, which guides fathers to turn shame into strength and build the discipline their families deserve. He's been featured on a bunch of podcasts and a bunch of shows, and his raw, unfiltered content on fatherhood and masculine leadership reaches more than 200,000 followers, Mert, and millions of viewers every month. And this March, just in a couple of months, he releases his new book, and I love this title, Man Up, Stop Breaking Your Own Promises, which expands his Man Up philosophy into a full blueprint for rebuilding character, purpose, and personal accountability. We're excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the program, Mike.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Thank you, man.
Well,
what a nice introduction.
Thanks for staying up. Look, you deserve it. It's 1:30 in the morning out by you. What part of Spain, if I may ask, are you in?
Yeah, so I'm traveling so much these days, but I'm in the south coast of Spain, which is called Marbella.
Oh, Marbella. I have been. Beautiful beach and lots of beautiful restaurants. Lucky you. Let me ask you. Let's start off with some stats. Although the traffic can be bad and the restaurants can get very crowded, let me ask you. January is peak divorce season. That's when custody battles, co-parenting conflicts, and identity crisis collide. I didn't know this, but with 73% of divorced dads feeling completely isolated but refusing to ask for help. That ain't good, Mike, and is indicative of a bigger problem, no?
Yeah, that's right. But it's also a development in our cultures. If we look back in the days, how boys turned into men, there we have the answer for why men they are feeling so isolated today.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second, Lucas. I can't believe you started there because you said this man lost $300 million. What kind of drugs? What type of scene were you in? Let's get into the interesting.
Mike,
what
he's
were
called
you
the Terminator
doing?
for a reason. He's a Terminator, Mike.
No. Like, what does that even feel like going from such heights? Because this is going to lead into all the positive stuff you're doing now, because I want to go on that journey from a rich, untouchable $300 million man, startup master, all that type of stuff, and you fall and lose all of it. What was you going? What was the scene like? What did this look like?
Yeah, well, you all guys, have you seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street?
I've seen it.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
So you can compare that and just take a European version of it, and just living with a validation problem, right? So everything is about, I want to be validated, but I really don't know who I am. So I'm going to try to get so much external validation as possible, and without having any breaks in me or anything. So it was over a course of a decade of stupid spending, trying to prove who I was, not having a mindset of wanting to invest. It was just spend, and then what kind of drugs it was the classic one that is the most terrible one of all of them. That was cocaine. Most of it was cocaine.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this question, because a lot of what I see today, and a lot of people could get you confused with these types. I don't know if you would say I am like these guys or not, but the Andrew Tates and all these type of guys who are alpha male and men should take back their masculinity. But first and foremost, are you in alignment with them, or do you separate? I want to get this clear first.
No. If you're looking at Andrew Tate, it's just like looking at an adult kid. So Andrew Tate still have a lot of boy psychology in him, and I would say that I realized that I was that. I wasn't online at that time, but I was that, and I looked myself in the mirror when I had a daughter, and what really was the switch for me was that I realized who I was, and I wasn't the man that I would want her to marry. So I decided to figure out who that man should be, and I become him.
And how do you teach a young man to not be all about being super masculine? Because I'm assuming you had to let go of a lot of that and try to really craft yourself into a real man. So what is the first step in your eyes in doing that? What do you need to stop worrying about women? Like, what do we need to focus on to get to this point where we can say, I don't need to be Superman. I can be something else. And it'll be a lot more healthier if I'm that other version of who I should be.
Yeah, I think you have to understand the difference from boy psychology and man psychology. And
that's right.
If we're looking back in the days, where all kinds of ancient communities, they had rituals, brother. They had rituals of when the boy started to show a little bit of sexual interest, the chief of that community, the leader of that community, he would say, it's time to kill the boy. And then they would take the boy into a ceremony or a ritual, and depending on where in the world that was, they would have different ways of doing it. If it was, for example, in Brazil, in the rainforest, they would take him in on, a terrible experience of putting bullet ants on his body and blowing, some hallucinating into his nose, and giving him a wisdom man who stood there and gave him all the knowledge that he needed to switch or transcend his consciousness into a higher level. But in all reality, these rituals does not exist anymore, because we are living in different communities with much larger, populations, and we are in a consumption age. Like we're in the dopamine business age. And now we don't have that anymore. So we have a lot of, and also on top of that, we have a lot of divorces. We have a lot of, young single mothers raising their kids and fathers not being present. And the fathers doesn't.
Oh, okay. We on real radio, so you can't curse like that.
I'm sorry. Have me apologize.
No problem. But keep going.
Yeah, so the problem is really it's an understanding, it's an understanding, and even though you just mature in age, that does not mature your consciousness and your awareness. So what the first step is you have to take, since you don't have that ritual, is you need to create an, objective, honest, brutal reality check on you.
Mike, do you think it's possible to take somebody who's still on top of the world and tell them, hey, I see where you're going? Because a lot of, you became very successful with your flaws. And I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to burn the candle on both ends, and it's going to lead to success, and I'm going to enjoy the success. And, you feel very good about yourself. So while people are still on that journey up that mountain, do you think it's possible to stop them and say, hey, change it now? Or do you have to fall before you can make those changes?
No, I don't think it's possible unless you get a realization that it's time to change. You can't change someone who doesn't want to change. And, people can live in denial for the rest of their life. And, let's just use Andrew Tate as a good example. If you're looking at him and you can look at him, I have respect for him making the money, not how he made them. But if you're looking at Andrew Tate, you can see it's just a little kid screaming.
Right.
Like it's just like having a little teenager who is angry at the world, and all he wants to do is prove the world that he's the best.
Right.
And that's not king energy. That's boy energy. That's not king energy. And if you have a man who is very successful and life is easy for him in that matter, that he can get what he wants when he wants, with who he wants, there's no need inside of him for him to change. There's nothing above him. He feels above everything, so he needs to crash. There is no other way. And a crash could be, a wife leaving, a family leaving him going to prison. It could be him being, like me, ending up broke, and have to rethink, like, how did I cause this? So the first step is, you know what? You can't kill an enemy you can't see.
Right. That's true. That's what I'm getting at. That was my point, because I'm thinking, man, you got the nice cars, you got the women, and then somebody comes up to you and say, hey, man, you need to start living differently. And you're like, I just got a promotion. I just got a bonus. What are you talking about, man? I'm on top of the world. You're just jealous. And I think you said something very honest, where it's like, I think you got to crash before you can really be helped out by what I'm trying to pitch to people out there.
Yeah, and there's several ways you can. So sometimes you don't think that you are crashing. So that's the reason why I'm using, which is also why I apologize for my vocabulary, but I'm used to it. So I'm using a vocabulary to wake these people up.
Right.
Because I'm trying to speak to them before they crash on my social media, because I wish that I had done that for myself, so they get the honest reflection. Oh, wow, wait a second. Yeah, I'm actually, oh, wow, I'm going in the wrong direction.
I got to be honest, we have to take a quick commercial break, but have no fear. When we return, Mike will rejoin us. You can learn more about Mike at MikeRadoor.com. That's where you'll find information about his coaching, seminars, and his brand. This March, you'll find his new book, Man Up, Stop Breaking Your Own Promises, on Amazon, wherever books are sold. Okay, Alex, Mert, Gabby, I hope you'll stay right where you are. Stay with us. Mike Radoor will explain why your comfort zone is basically a trap, and he'll tell you how to escape it, preferably without crying.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Now's the time to treat yourself. Step into a quality comfort shoe, boots, sneakers, even house slippers. Air Comfort Shoes Long Island has it all. All sizes and widths, sizes 4 to 16, narrow, medium, wide, extra wide, and extra, extra wide. We ship it free and return in-store, online, or by phone order. Visit aircomfortshoes.com. That's aircomfortshoes.com. Or call 1-800-681-SHOE. That's 1-800-681-SHOE or 1-800-681-7463. That's 1-800-681-7463 or aircomfortshoes.com. Shoes, boots, and sneakers. All major brands including SAS, Hoka, New Balance, Echo, Riker, Piccolinos, Ara, Timberland, Dunham, Springstep, Monroe, Drew, Mephisto, Brooks, Samuel Hubbard, and much more. The lowest price guaranteed. Life is a journey. Wear comfortable shoes. 1-800-681-SHOE. 1-800-681-SHOE or 1-800-681-7463. That's 1-800-681-7463. That's 1-800-681-SHOE or aircomfortshoes.com. Home of the world's finest footwear.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too. Newsmax has been terrific.
President Trump is right. Millions like you are tuning into Newsmax. You're watching Newsmax on cable. You're going to our streaming channel, Newsmax 2. And you're downloading our free Newsmax app on your smartphones and TVs. Reuters Institute says we're now one of the top news brands in the nation. Every night, watch great shows with Rob Schmidt, Carl Higbie, Rob Finnerty, and more as they expose the big media lies, the Washington swamp, and they're never afraid to talk about faith, freedom, and the values that made us great. Find out why Newsmax is the fastest-growing news channel in America. Make the switch today and join our news revolution. Get Newsmax on cable, on streaming, and download the free app today. It takes just seconds to start. Let President Trump know you stand with Newsmax. It's for real news, for real people. Make the switch today.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back. We've been speaking with Mike Radoor. You can learn more about Mike at MikeRadoor.com. That's Mike, RADOOR.com. And that's where you can find more about his coaching work, seminars, and his brand. Coming this March, you'll find his new book, Man Up, Stop Breaking Your Own Promises. And we have to talk about the book, Mike. You'll find it on Amazon, wherever books are sold. Of course, we'll have links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. So, Mike, before the break, you were saying, and I had to interrupt you, unfortunately, but do you want to finish your thought?
I lost the point from that.
Yeah, no problem. But I think we were talking about people have to get to the edge, to the precipice, before they can come back. And since some people live in denial their whole lives, and I think Mert was saying, can you break that cycle, or is it up to the individual to break it? Can someone help, like a spouse or a partner?
Yeah, so that's great. Just also, again, we're also living in a world, like especially in the Western world, and most places in the Western world, we don't. It's hard to die in today's society. It's not like the old days. So we live for comfort, right? One of our biggest survival mechanisms, whether we want it or not, is to stay in the familiar and the comfort. That's one of our biggest survival mechanisms. So we will always seek towards comfort and pleasure. And we can't see, which is also what the Bible explains, the narrow road and the broad gate. And if we seek comfort and pleasure all the time, it's like eating us slowly. But none in the world is seeing that right now. It's also why so many people getting overweight, so many people die of lifestyle disease. We're eating ourselves to death. And if you're looking at a guy who needs to wake up and make a change, the biggest catalysator for change is pain. So at some point he needs to infuse pain, and that can come from a broken marriage, that can come from looking himself in the mirror. I believe that any man in the world at some point in his life, doesn't matter how successful he is, he will have to look himself in the mirror and ask himself, am I the man that I admire?
Let me ask you a question. Ask you a question, because I don't know when I'll get an opportunity to ask this question to somebody such as yourself. If a woman came up to you and said, could you teach me? What would you say to her? Would you give her the same playbook you give a man? How would you teach a woman if she came up to you?
No, I wouldn't. I've never been a woman, so this is my coaching is specifically for men. I'm actually just coaching my old self together with all my coaching experience and my certificates and everything I've done. So if a woman came to me and said, "Coach me to be a man," I would say that's not me.
So you would say, "Stay away."
Yeah, I would. I would say I'm not the right guy, because we men, we are born warriors. In the end, that's what we are. We are born warriors, and women are, we are equal in worth. I love women. I'm a son of a mother. I have a sister, I have a daughter. I love women, but we are equal in worth, but we are different in function. So, I wouldn't coach a woman the same way I coach men. No.
That's authenticity right there. That's authentic. That lets you know he's not just some grifter trying to take your money. He's really out there to help.
A man of integrity for sure. But I lost your point, Mike, about this transition from boyhood to manhood. Or is your larger point that into the modern society we've lost that guidance, that this transition is presenting problems for most kids? What is your larger point about it? Because I'm trying to get my arms around it.
Yeah, so when does a boy turn into a man?
Well, it varies by individual. It varies by individual.
Well, I'll say this: I don't think it's very important to make that distinction, because a lot of stuff that boys enjoy, men enjoy. Men enjoy video games, playing sports, watching sports, eating junk food, watching movies, all this type of stuff. So it's very hard to make that distinction, because you said.
No, that's actually not. You just said it. So boys and men enjoy the same things. Yeah, but boys and men, it's not supposed to do the same things. So just because you're mature, that doesn't make you a man. It makes you an older boy.
Ooh.
So you tell. So what?
Mike, I think you've captured Mert's essence.
I just want to know what things should men like. What are the things that you stop?
Here it is. So a boy consumes more than he produces, and a man produces more than he consumes.
Wow.
So a boy comes without responsibility. A man comes with responsibility.
Amen.
So a boy comes without duties, obligations. A man comes with duties and obligations. So a man serves.
That's the difference. I think you're right on that.
But I'm gonna just say this though, because I hear what you're saying. But there's men out there
35 plus and play video games. Come on, guys, get rolling.
That's Mert. He just described his life.
But hold on a second. Let me get this out, because I'm gonna just say this. What about the men out there who produce and still lean into all that stuff, and they still do all the stuff that boys do? What about those men? Would you tell them they're not men, or they're boys with a lot of money? What would you say to them?
No matter where you are in your life, if you're 35 plus and you waste your time on video games, you are, in my opinion, not a man.
Wow. So what should you be doing with that time?
Produce, like, if you're looking at it, I'm traditional, guys. You can hear that. So you should provide, protect, and preside. That's what you should do. You should serve. You should switch this is called ego mastery. You should go from me to how do I serve? How do I develop the best version of myself to serve the world with that?
But Mike, I gotta get you. I gotta get you.
I love it. I love it, Mike.
You're not giving me you're not giving me the answer I'm looking for. I'm trying to ask you. What are you supposed to be doing with your free time?
But that's totally up to you. You know, what are you supposed to do with your free time? But I don't have free time. What is free time? But what is free time?
Well, to do whatever you want to. Why don't you have free time?
Because I do what I love every single day. Every single day I wake up, and this is, you have to understand. So this is a different point of view. Every single day I wake up, I serve people. I don't have free time for me. If I have free time for me, I study. If I have free time for me, I figure out how to do charity. I'm constantly serving because we are way too little men who does that. I don't sit down and play video games with a beautiful, beautiful life that I've been given. The amazing chance, I don't decide when I wake up. When I put my feet on the ground every morning, I look up and I say, thank you. And then the rest is up to me. And there's so many people out there I can serve because it's in my power. Because I can, I should. And I didn't do that for 2 decades. And I don't believe that you are a man that has video games and junk food and all that inside of you. It is simply just you being weak and a slave to comfort and pleasure. So that doesn't mean you can't have comfort and pleasure in your life. But it means, as a man, you need to think, how can I contribute to my community, to my family, to my community, and to the world? And you don't contribute to the world by playing video games.
Amen. Amen, Mike. Amazing. So come on, Mert, wake up.
Well, I thought you might. No. I'm not here to judge what he's saying. I actually like what he's saying because I feel like a lot of people could learn from that. I'm just trying to get him to explain actually what is he doing with all this time. What does it mean to constantly serve 24/7?
Mert, it sounds like he's applying himself, if you ask me. But
I'm up 2:30 a.m. to serve. I'm in a radio channel. I'm serving. I'm studying. I'm training. I'm constantly serving. And if I have free time, I take a nap.
I love it. I love it, Mike. Let's talk in
because we can, guys. We can.
And
we
life is too
that.
precious, and life is too precious to waste. I love it, Mike. Let me ask you, because we only have a few minutes left, believe it or not. Talk about your book, Man Up. What do you hope readers will take away from it? What was the point of writing the book? Tell us a little bit about your book, which is coming out in March. Man Up.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So it's an you know, I've written a few books before. One of them is an international bestseller. This book is an honest. You know, I just came clean in my book, so it's my story. I bring you into a period of my life that was, you know, started very fun-looking, but it turned into a very dark and very, you know, very bad period of my life. So I bring you with me into my life of where I started to self-destruct, and you know, I don't spare any details, so it's not for everyone to read. So I have my entire, you know, everything I went through, all the experience that I had, so you guys can understand what kind of life that I had, and then I take you into my complete breakdown, and also to the point where when I did the turnaround, and I bring you on the journey in the book on how I, you know, did that turnaround, and also I'm ending the book with those 6 steps, which right now have been, you know, really helping hundreds of men to be completely free from self-sabotage. And that's what it is, you know. Boy psychology is in all reality self-sabotaging. You're self-sabotaging yourself. So the book is like it's a testament of my story, so you guys can see yourself in me. Because, you know, this book is not about success. It's not. It's about me, and maybe it's about you too if you are there in your period of life, and then it's your way out. And then it's a very, very. So those 6 steps, you can compare that with those old rituals that will transcend your consciousness that we don't have anymore. But it really has that effect on people.
My friend, unfortunately we've run out of time. Learn more about Mike Radoor at his website, MikeRadoor.com. You'll find his new book, Man Up, Stop Breaking Your Own Promises, on Amazon, wherever books are sold, beginning in March. Of course, we'll have links on our website. Thank you, Mike. We hope you'll have it come back soon. Well, my friends, that concludes show number 80. May I hear an amen?
Amen.
Special thanks to the Mertinator, Mert Roberts, 160 hours of live entertainment. You think that's easy? You do it. Alex Garrett, thank you. Gabby, you're out there. We love you. Check out my movies, Manor of Darkness. The New York Times just said it's one of 5 movies to watch, to stream. Make sure you do so. Christina Cates is up next with Culinary Confidential, one of my favorite shows if you're a foodie. Well, join us next week. We'll have more special guests just for you. Same time, same place. Ciao, ciao.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.